Hello, this is a simple tutorial on turning a three-part isometric view or sketch into a three-part drawing consisting of a third angle projection of a V-block, which is this component, a U-clamp, which is this component, and a screw, which is this component. This particular component, once assembled, would typically be used in an engineering context to hold cylindrical-based objects for hand fitting techniques or a machining technique such as lathe or mill. Once considered round stock, so it could also be used for quality purposes as well. So I have my layer set up. So I have just a simple construction center, dims, drawing, and hidden layers set up on my template, and I've outlined my A3 page to show my border constraints when assembling these parts. There is also links to other videos which explains how to set up stuff like layouts with viewports and how to build layer properties and layers as well. So check those out if you need any assistance. So quite simply, I'm going to start off by having on my construction layer, I've drawn a simple left axis and a horizontal and a vertical axis that I can start to offset my dimensions to build the first part, which is going to be this V block. So simple command is I'm going to use the offset command. This will simply take a existing line, either horizontal or vertical, or at an angle, and simply going to offset it by a certain distance. So first off, I'm going to arrange the top view, which on this V block, which is looking down, bird's eye view, which is going to be consisting of 60 mm wide and 100 mm length. So simply going to put in 60 millimeters and offset my first one, 60 mm. Remembering the command of escape and the spacebar to reload the previous command, I can type in my new dimension, and that gives me the physical length. Also, if you don't want to use space and command or spacebar with escape, you can just simply re-click a line, drop it down to your desired location, and then you could also do a set distance away afterwards. So just saves you having to reload the command over and over again. So what have I done so far? So what I plan on doing in this rectangle here is going to be my top view. In this square here is going to be my front view, so the front of my V block. And this view here is going to be my side view. So I'm just going to put in the last offset, which is 100 millimeters. So I've got my top view, my front view, my side, which is the traditional third angle projection in the L shape. So I've got my three designations that both parts on all three views are 25 mm apart, which is these rectangles here. Okay, now all I'm going to start is putting in the features that I know using the offset command. So offset the first command, I know this top line here running from the top is 10 mm wide, because obviously 60. Take out the V, which is 40, and then either side will leave me 10 mm. So I'm going to put in 10 mm to offset my first line on both sides. I don't know any of the features for this V. I don't know the distance between because it isn't named. All I know is the V is 20 high by 50 mm on the diagonals. So what I need to do now is on this front face is insert the V so I can map it up to my top view here. So I know the V is 20 mm high, so I'm going to change the offset to 20 to give me my first line. Now I'm going to switch to my drawing layer because I'm going to do some drawing. I'm going to use the line command, which I can even click on the line up here or just simply type in L and use the shortcut key to bring up line. I'm going to choose my first point, which is 10 mm away, which is this first point lined up here. Very simply, I'm going to stretch the distance nice and high. I'm going to use the tab function and put in 50 degrees, as I know that's how the angle. I'm not bothered about the line length because I can trim this back later. Repeating the same command, I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. This time it will obviously be 130 degrees away from the 180 degree line. And there I have my quite simple run the line along my horizontal, which I know is 20mm away. Now I have a nice component that I can trim using the function, so TR for trim, shortcut, or TRIM. Because this is AutoCAD 2020, any version before 2021, you have to highlight the trim function first, hit enter to accept, and you can use the function to trim any intersecting lines. So that's the first part of my drawing, which consists of the first V. Next, I'm going to offset another line, which is going to be 24mm high, again from my base, which will form the first part of my slot before I build the upper case on my component. Next, all I'm going to do is just fill in the lines that I've got so it doesn't get confusing. Just spacebar to accept, and then spacebar to reload. Now I'm going to offset another line, 30mm, which will be my center point, which is this line here. And for ease to know it's a center, I'm just going to change this to even my center line, just so I know that's the center of my component, just to make it nice and easy for me to view. Next, I'm going to use the mirror function because I want to replicate everything that I've done, because the same on the bottom is the same on the top. So I'm just going to highlight all of my white lines, click enter to accept. Choose a point along my center line. It can be anywhere. Any snap point is good. So I'm going to use the edge snap. And as I move my mouse to the right or anywhere around, it will go around at 180 degrees snap point, or 90, or even 360. So I want it exactly on top. So I'm going to find a snap point along my horizontal. Click to accept. Erase original object. So I'm going to hit no. And now I have the second part, or the top end of my V. To satisfy this last one, I'm going to join up the lines, pressing space to accept and space to reload. And now I have my frontal view of my V block as per here. So next part to do is I can map these lines now across to form the top view of my shape. So I'm just going to run around the outside, putting in the external features of my part. Okay, using the delete function if you accidentally insert too many lines. I'm just mirroring exactly what is below to form the top view of my base object. So now I'm still in my drawing layer. I need to now basically run some lines. I'm going to go back into my construction layer. I can run some lines from my V, snap them in place, locking onto my lines. And again, I can now come back into my drawing layer and just override those lines. I like to keep my construction lines and drawing lines separate, so if I need to change anything at a later date, I can modify my construction lines and then adapt my drawing as and when I need. So that is now the top view of my part. Next up, I'm just going to draw my side view. Again, I'm just going to run around the outside to form my outer block. And again, in the drawing or construction there, I'm just going to map across any lines that aren't here. I could also do offset with this as well, but I just find it's easier to sometimes just click like so. So this is now the fundamental shape that I have. I'm just going to swap that to my drawing there so I can see when I turn off my construction, like so. So I have my front view, my side view now, and my top view. So the last thing that I could do on my views is I could now insert a hidden feature where I can then show the hidden detail to whoever's reading my technical drawing. So again, it just would be mapping anything across that is relevant. So I should turn my construction lines back on. So my lines I've put in here, okay, are currently 10mm. Actually on my drawing, they're currently 6. So I need to offset a new line, 6 millimeters. Okay, and now I can see that actually my technical drawing is incorrect because these white lines aren't in line, so not actually the true. So what I can do, I can manipulate this. So I've got a couple of ways I can do. I can click on the line, use these block functions to move each block independently, like so, and I could use the tools to stretch back the existing lines or shrink down the existing lines. Or I could choose my, I'll show you a different way on the other side, is I can choose the middle function, slide across to the middle. And again, I can use the trim function to trim down any existing line, like so. Then we have a modified component, which then is correct. Because I've moved then the construction lines, what I can do now in my hidden details, I can just map then the hidden lines, like so. So same again, I just need to put the hidden detail in on this side. So again, I can then run along. Now again, I can either put a construction line in here, or what I can do is I can lock onto the feature and just quite simply run along, referencing the snap points, because obviously I mirrored the top, so I don't have the construction line to replicate it, but I can quite simply just run along the side very, very easily. So I'm just going to turn off my construction layers to make it easier for me to see. That is a first part or first 3-part or third angle projection of my V block. Very simply, I can just come in my dimension layer. I come in, I can say, well, my block is going to be 100 mil long. Okay, I can then say it's going to be 60 wide. And again, I could do this on a couple of features, making it again nice and clear. I can also come in and say particular heights on features. So I'm just keeping them nice and clear. Again, what you try not to do is try and overlap the green across white lines because it looks very messy. So when we're using the linear function, what we can do is we can click on lines and map them across so they look nice and clear and overline our lines. So I'm using a 25 mil offset just to keep it away from my part, make it nice and clear. I'm going to select to the anglia, choose my angle, choose my base, and again I can make it nice and visually clear to my user what these functions are. And obviously, if you use a set dimension every single time, bits will nicely line up, which makes it quite nice for the reader to physically use as well. Also, if you don't like if you prefer it linearly in line, again, you can also click to adjust the dimension like so, just to make it a little bit extra clear. Like so, just to keep everything nice and uniform. So my last bit, so I've got my block function. I've got my height, which is obviously 60 mil. I've also got the gaps between each function, how deep my sides are. The last one I could sort of do is I could provide, to make it nice and easy for my machinist, I could provide some features I didn't actually have on my original as well. Also, I can actually use the snap points as well. So when you actually do a dimension, if you lock it on the 2 points, you can actually line it up with some snap points to keep it nice and clear. Because this is a symmetric object, you haven't got to go mad with the dimensions, you just need to make enough that you can physically make. So I've got a 60 by 60 by 100 mil block. I know that my middle of my V is 6.44. I know the edge shoulder to the inner part of my V slot is 26.78 millimeters. What I could do now is you could actually provide the angle or the length, but I have the angle as well. Could also actually provide the depth. So again, I could come along, click on snap points and just provide the depth of my V as well. So again, having 20mm offset on that one is quite close to my next part. So I'm going to change that one to 10, like so. So then my V is 20mm deep, it's 6.344 wide, it's then 26 from the left-hand datum, and then my angle is 50. Sometimes some people might actually want to put in the angular length as well. It just gets quite messy, so you have to be really careful on how far you're displaying away. But if I put another 10mm, it should be quite nice sized as well. Those are all the functions that I need then to give to a competent machinist to then make my part. So that's the first kind of block function, and it's all within my A3 slide, which is very, very nice. The next one I'm going to do is I'm going to now work on my U block. I'm going to show you some more functions which are really useful to use. So I'm just going to move my drawing slightly over so you guys can see the next part. So what I'm going to do is just use the rectangle function, choose my corner. I'm going to do another A3 size page. This is in green because I'm on the dimensions layer. So just sort of remember, you should be obviously, in this case, this is my template. It should be on 0. If I do make a mistake, I can just change it back to an additional layer afterwards. So starting again, I'm going to turn my construction layer back on. I'm going to start with my starting block, which is obviously providing a nice construction base where I can offset. Okay, this time I'm working on my U block. So my U block is actually 80mm high by 80mm wide. It's got a couple of features on there as well, which has a lot of rads and fillets. So again, the thickness of my part is 24 on one side, 20 on the other. So again, so my first offset is going to be nice and simply 20mm. Okay, that's the first drop, and obviously it's 80mm in width looking top down. I'm going to stick the same 25mm last time, which again is going to do left and right. So I'm going to do a top view, front view, and then there'll be a side. And again, the side is still going to be another 20mm, so I can put that back in, just using escape space every time. This time the top is going to be 80mm. Going to drop down. So I've got my top view up here, my front view in here, my side view there. So I've all got my 3 designated space ready to go. So I'm going to do all of the work on the front view first, and then I'm going to do my top view and my side view second and third, because essentially all of the detail in this is in the top function. So I'm going to zoom in, make sure I can see my part nice and clearly. Okay, so I'm going to start working from, it's a symmetric object, so left side is the same as the right. So I'm going to start off by looking at the functions. So I've got an R36, which is here, an R24, which is here, which is exactly 36mm away from the base. So that's going to be my first offset, 36mm on the base. Also, it's 80mm wide, so I need to offset 40 to get my center point. Now, because obviously these are center radius or center lines, I'm going to change them to center just to be nice and clear, so I can see a distinguished color away from my points. Again, offset, there's going to be, it's 16mm from this base here to the inner thigh, so I'm going to offset 16, which is going to be again from either side. And I'm going to offset the 10, which then forms the outer edge to the inner, like so. So that's the baseline of my component. Okay, So now I'm going to come and just put in everything I have so far. So within the drawing layer, I know that that particular function starts down here. So I actually just need to define the height. So I just need to put in one more offset, which will be 6 millimeters. So I'm going to put 6 millimeters in here. Oh, I'm on the wrong function. I'm just going to check my drawing actually. Sorry, at 12 millimeters, I'm looking at the wrong side. So I'm just going to put my offset 12 millimeters. It's always good to refer to drawing to make sure. So what I have here is my base. I'm running up to my center line, coming back, coming down like so. So that's the first kind of L shape that I have. Then I have this step feature that I have to now include. So now I need to work on the next part. So again, I'm going to put a radius in. So use the circle tool, circle radius from the center. Okay, I'm going to put a radius of 24 in, and I'm going to do the same radius again from the center for 36. Okay, these will map over my features. And to make it nice and clear, I'm just going to trim out everything below the vertical, the horizontal line, just to get it away so it's not interfering with my lines. So on this feature here, we have an R4, which then runs up to the top base of our object, which we don't know. All we know is it's 24 wide. So what I can do is I can do an offset of 12 mil away from the middle, like so. And actually I'm going to turn these center lines back into construction just by changing the layer. So when I know it's 80 mil high, which is this line here, and I know that it's 12 mil from the center or 24 mil wide, so I can come along and I can simply cross over the intersect line like so, and quite simply trim out that circle that I don't no longer need. So now I have my basic shape just minus the radiuses on both sides. So next thing to do is I'm going to use the Fillet tool, which is up here, or FIL as a shortcut. Now the Fillet tool works in, will apply a fillet between two boundary conditions or two lines. So very straightforward is down on the bottom bar, it'll ask you for the polyline, radius, trim, or multiple. We can use the radius functions. You have a click radius, 4 mil, okay, or you can just simply hit R and then 4 mil. It's entirely up to you. Choose your two lines, and it'll insert the radius instead of the current line. Very easy way to replicate radiuses on AutoCAD. Last thing I'm going to do is connect up the final lines. Okay, and half of my shape is now ready. Because I have a center line, I can actually mirror half of my shape. So what I could actually do is trim just trim out everything against my vertical line to make half an object, like so, and just delete any lines I no longer want. Or I could do just drawn it twice. Again, it's entirely up to you. Then I'm just going to use the mirror function, selecting all my lines. Choosing a point on my horizontal line, and then just finding another snap point. So if I go to the right, it flips it upside down. If I go to the left, it also rotates it backwards. So make sure I have to come up, find a snap point, erase original source, no, and there is my frontal view. So if I just turn off the center and the construction lines, you can clearly see the feature. So the next one to do is I need to do my top view as well. So I'm just going to put the center line back on because that puts my cross in quite nicely. I'm going to do an offset of 10 mil because it's a 20 mil square, just to put in my center for the hole. Now, the hole here is a 12 mil diameter, so I'm just going to switch to center diameter here. Click on the circle, enter 12, and there's my 12 mil diameter. What I can now do is actually, again, using the offset tool, I can put in some more construction lines, 6 mil from the center. I can form the edge of my circle. So actually, when I do my hidden detail in a second, I can now trace over on my first feature, my hidden hole. It's really important to keep all of the detail nice and concurrent and nice and clear. Last one to do, draw around the edge of my top view. Just draw around the rectangle. Okay, then I'm going to map up any existing views. So I know that my edge is down here. So all the time just using the space bar to reload and to cancel my command. So the last one we have to do is you have to offset on final time 4 mil the edge to pick up both radiuses. Okay, so I can quite simply just draw, because when you top down, you'll see the top and the bottom of the radius as well, like so. So what I would see looking down, okay, I would see the top view. Okay, I would see the top of the fillet, which would be here. I probably would actually see the base of the fillet before the fillet would sort of continue running around. But because that's all one nice shape, you're not really going to see the flat until the end. But you could actually put another view running off of the base like so. So using the snap points, actually you probably see it more like this. So just one final one, going to close it off. Use the shrink or stretch command just to finalize that view. Hidden detail, this one, okay, obviously we would have some hidden detail replicating the lines running down. So again, you can either run a parallel line if you're happy doing so. Like so. Or you could have just picked it up, running on the construction lines, which is sometimes easier when you've got lots of snap points. But there's my hidden detail, which is the form of these slots looking down. So last one then is to do my third and final view for this one. Okay, thinking again, all I'm going to be seeing is in the edge. So I'm just going to pop on a couple of final construction lines. And again, sometimes it is just easier to draw rather than working out the offsets, because you can pick up the snap points a lot easier. Okay, so I'm just going to draw my outer shape now. Look, I'm looking side on, I'll see the top of the fillet, I'll see the base of the fillet, and we'll then again see the top of the bottom fillet. Again, just call that snap edge. So just be careful you don't overdo it. Okay, and then there's going to be some more hidden detail, because I'm going to see the back edge here. I won't actually see the hidden detail because it's overridden by the fillet, so I don't need to put that hidden detail in here. I just need to put my hole in, so I just need to put an offset. Now the side is still 20 mil, so again it's going to be offset of 10 to find the center. Okay, and then 6 mil either side. Okay, now I'm just going to pick up a construction line running off the base of the hole, because the actual hole is actually technically shorter than the base of the in the arc, just because it's on a side view. So just things to remember there. From the top all the way down, okay, and your hole will end like so. So that's another view done. So it's the 3 views running through. Nice and straightforward, nice and clear. Again, you can dimension that nice and straightforwardly. So just on the dimensions again, you can do, this time I'm just 10 away, it doesn't need to be 25 like the last one. So just putting in some of the key features, 80Y by 80. I can put the neck tolerance in, which is here and here. Put my rads in, so I've got a radius of 9, so nice and clear. Then I can think about my radius there. I could actually edit that radius and say 4 times R4, because there was actually 4 of them. Like so, I can actually edit my drawing to make it nice and clear for whoever's making my part. 16. Again, like last time, just connecting the snap points so I get nice, clear dimensions. I don't want to overpopulate, but I also want to again be nice and clear to my user. So just going to come up, just going to put my diameter in. Again, make sure it's nice and clear. I don't want it too compact. I can have a 12 mil there. And again, that's pretty much all of the dimensions that I need to construct that part. 16, 36 high, R4, R36, 24, 24 here, 6 millimeters, 24, 20, 80, 80. That's pretty much all of that I need. The last part, because I have a small screw now, actually it's no point putting it on a separate A3 page. So I'm just going to turn on my construction lines again. Do a nice offset. This time I'm going to say about 50 millimeters away from my edge. And put it nice and evenly away. You could actually change the color if you wanted. So you could now say, actually, I'm going to make another layer. To put it like con 2. Just sort of change the color, like blue. And what you could actually do is change that to your second construction layer and then turn off your original. So you got nice, you're not having interfering construction lines. So what I'm going to do actually is, whilst I'm in here, is just map that line across so I don't have to replicate it twice. I'm just going to turn that layer off. So the screw which sits in here is 100 mil tall. So when I do the top view, it's 100 meters and it's 24. So I'm just going to do an offset 24 by 24 because it's obviously a circle. Offset again 25, and then it offset 100, and then I'm going to offset 25, and then 25. So 24 is obviously, I'm going to put another offset in here of 12 to form my centers. Just watch the snap point, sometimes they go a bit mad when you're quite far unzoomed. So I'm just going to change them to my centers. Okay, I'll turn you on. Like so. Now again, I've got a center interference. So I could actually just shorten that one down so it doesn't interfere with what I need. Likewise with that one, that's because again it's part of the other drawing. Just gonna put a circle in. Obviously 12. It's 24 diameter, and just change that to my drawing layer, like so. It's actually 20 mil, so when I'm looking at my frontal view, it's 20 mil down, and then again it's 60 mil above the part. I don't need to know that until I do the assembly drawing. I just need to know the rest of it is 100 mil. And obviously the screw is going to be 12 mil diameter as well. So again, what I can do is from the center, I can offset them 6 mil to form 12 mil either side. Again, just change that one and that one to my construction to get rid of Twitter. I can pop in now on the drawing layer my outline for my circle. Like so, nice and straightforward. And I'm actually going to copy that because I'm going to use that on my third view. So I'm just going to come along, select all those features, and I'm just going to copy it from a point and place it in my next window. I think actually I offset when I offset that, it was 25, not 24. Yeah, so I'm just did a little mistake, which is good because then otherwise I would have had a part that looking a bit unusual. So typically, it doesn't actually say a thread on this component, but it would be a thread. So imagine it'd be like an M12 thread. So I could actually say, well, M12 is obviously got a higher pitch times 1.75, so it'd be 10.2. So I could offset 10.2, which would be 5.1 either side of my lines. I could put like a thread in. There and there, change that to construction again. So I just use the hidden feature just to symbolize my thread. And same again here, I can just offset it. 0.75 and just check that actually it still meets the 10.2. 0.5. Sorry, that's a mistake. So it's going to be from the edge, then we need to offset 1.2, which then gives us the 10. Oh, 0.9. Again. 0.9, which is going to be the thread major and minor diameter. Like so. Last one to do is obviously there's a hole, 5 mil, it's in the center, so it can just offset 10 mil. Choose the center line. Same again. I'll put a hole in there. I think it's a 5 mil hole. Yeah, 5 mil diameter. So we put the hole there, offset, this time 2.5 on the center. And then I can map my hidden detail. Obviously the hole's only going to be on one side. Like so, so if I turn off my construction lines. Okay, turn off the centers. There is my components. Again, just need to do some small dimensions. I could just select center. Like so. It's pretty much all. Need to put the diameter for the top one. 24. Whole distance. Holes through all. Could actually put those on that one. Doesn't really matter as long as it's nice and clear. I'm just going to cap off now the base on both of them just to make it nice and clear that it is two separate. I could now actually just put in a small note. So I could put a leader in down here. I'm going to put it on the other side because it's got more room. So I could put in M12 times 1.75 just to showcase that it is a threaded component. So there is my components all sort of laid out. The next thing to do would be just to turn off your dimensions and your hidden detail. And what you can do is now actually build an assembly. So we'll build another A3 page. Okay, here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to assemble my components. So I know I need to copy this one. Okay, so I'm just going to roughly line it up. Doesn't really matter too much. Okay, I'm going to copy this one. Now choosing a base is really important here because this obviously fits in this slot. So you got to make sure it's nice and even. Okay, so sometimes actually where you select your base is sometimes quite important. Now this one obviously I need to select the middle. And if you remember on my drawing, it actually said it was 60 mil from the top. So what I'm going to do is just turn my center on. Now obviously nothing's going to map across because I didn't actually copy any of the construction or dimensions or my center lines when I moved this across. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a center line. Okay, I'm just going to pick up the center point, come above the component, come through. And same again on this component, just pick it up through the component. And then I'm just going to offset, sounds bizarre, a line at 60 mil, which would be then the form top base of my top of my component. So when I do a move function, really easy now. Choose the component, select the left hand edge. Okay, and I want it to just basically sit in line No, I think that's slightly longer than the center. So what I'm actually just going to do, I'm just going to shorten that down so it doesn't really latch onto anything. So select all, move, choose my base. Okay. This time it's obviously not going to pick anything up. So actually make life a bit easier, you could just choose it from the center. Latch onto the 2 points like so. Okay. And I can simply just turn off that component. I can turn off the centers. That's what I do. It's got to do a bit of trimming because you actually see the components inside. So I'm just going to trim, select all. Okay, come along, trim out the components that I won't see, like so. Everything else I will see. I can actually say that's the first part of my. So I can actually move it a little bit over to one side. Nice and simple. Then you come along and do some leader lines. You could say this is like component number 1. I could do it on dimensions actually. Dimension there on. So this is component number 1. This is component number 2. And finally this is component number 3. Then actually when I do my bill of materials, essentially all the components I can put in a corner, component 1, component 2, component 3, and reference and the individual part drawing, like so. Again, same with the side view, nice and straightforward, turn everything off. You want to copy any of the components apart from what's already there. Okay, this time I can actually latch onto some snap lines. Okay, the problem is you got is sometimes it's like so. I can copy the base. No, actually I could sort of put this wherever really. So I'm going to put it in the middle, latch onto the midpoint. And then I could copy the screw. Again, if I'm clever, I should latch onto some points here. Like so, and that should be exactly the same place. It is, however, I just realized I didn't actually move that to the correct location. It should be there, which might look a bit off. There we go. Same again, trim function. I'm just going to trim out anything I don't need. So I wouldn't see that line. I wouldn't see that line. Wouldn't see that line. I wouldn't see that. This. Okay, so any lines that don't intersect, it will just ask you to delete normally. As this line is no intersection, I can just delete and then map back across. Helps them in the right layer, like so. Again, you could label them back up if you wanted, but that's essentially the view. I'm just going to drop them down slightly so I can put the top view in. as well if you wanted to. So you could put on the top view. Can choose a base, latching onto. Might not actually. I've got enough room. If you don't select your dimensions, just keep it below. It's not actually copy anything over, which is always good. So this one's obviously wider, so you've got to make sure I'm latching on to a point which is going to be nice fixed. There and there. Like so. Again, the top view circle is just going to be a copy and then placed right over the top of the other circle. So base to base, like so. I'm just going to delete that copy. Then again, straight back into trim. It's just trim out everything you don't see. So that one, this one, don't see any of this. Sometimes you have to get slightly further in. Sometimes it's easy to manipulate the drawing. I'm just going to do one final trim on the center. There you go, there's our components. That's our block, U, and then our top piece. Again, shown as a third angle projection. Nice and straightforward. Don't forget then to save. And then we have a 3-part drawing, changed into 3 individual parts, and an assembly made with some lead lines, dimensions, covering the trim function, offset function, fillet function, mirror, copy, and obviously the dimensions tools. Thanks for watching.